In the near future, humanity had made first contact with the Martians, a highly advanced civilization that had evolved on a planet far harsher than Earth. The Martians were taller, faster, and stronger than humans, and they prided themselves on their combat skills. Over centuries, their warriors had perfected techniques designed for both physical dominance and psychological warfare. When the two planets began to interact more, it was clear that the Martians viewed Earth as a backward, primitive world. Their soldiers scoffed at the very idea that humans could ever be considered equals in combat. Martian warriors were often shown Earth's media as a way to study human culture, and what they saw only confirmed their beliefs. They watched combat sports like boxing, wrestling, and mixed martial arts and found them lacking. The Martians laughed at what they called Earth's childish scuffles, brawls that lacked the sophistication and lethal precision of their own combat forms. To them, Earth's warriors seemed to rely on brute force, simple strikes, and chaotic grappling rather than any meaningful strategy or discipline. This disdain culminated in an official challenge. The Martians sent an open invitation to Earth, a tournament, to be held on Mars, where the best fighters from both planets would face off. The terms were clear: each planet would send its strongest fighters, and the tournament would be a demonstration of true combat superiority. The Martians fully expected to humiliate Earth's champions and solidify their reputation as the galaxy's greatest warriors. For them, this was not just a competition but a chance to assert their dominance. Earth's leaders, feeling both insulted and pressured, scrambled to assemble a team. Fighters from all disciplines were invited to join the effort: boxers, wrestlers, mixed martial artists, and even lesser-known fighters from various traditional martial arts. They were well aware of the physical advantages the Martians had, but Earth's pride was on the line, and they couldn't back down. The selection process was rigorous, and Earth's team was filled with some of the most skilled and decorated fighters in the world. Among them, however, was one unexpected name: Aaron, a quiet Muay Thai champion from Thailand. Aaron wasn't flashy. He didn't have the worldwide fame of other fighters on the team. His fighting style was old, traditional. In a world obsessed with high-octane, modern fighting forms, Muay Thai seemed like a relic from the past. Even among Earth's other combatants, some doubted whether Aaron had any chance of surviving the tournament. Muay Thai's reliance on elbows, knees, and kicks seemed almost primitive compared to the fast-paced, technical grappling and striking combos used in modern MMA. Despite the doubts, Aaron was chosen. The selectors knew they needed a variety of fighting styles to have even a sliver of hope against the Martians, and his calm yet lethal fighting style had earned him respect in certain circles. It was the kind of style that relied on patience, precision, and exploiting an opponent's weaknesses, but many saw him as a long shot, a wild-card fighter included as an afterthought. In their minds, it was the flashier, more aggressive fighters that held Earth's best chances of winning. Word of the tournament spread quickly across both planets. On Earth, there was a mixture of anticipation and dread. Most people were unaware of the true extent of the Martians' physical prowess, but rumors circulated. Some whispered that the Martians had the strength of 10 men and could move faster than the human eye could track. Others dismissed these as exaggerations, holding on to hope that Earth's fighters would rise to the occasion. The Martians, on the other hand, were confident. Their broadcasts spoke openly of how easily they would dispatch the humans. In their eyes, Earth's fighters were slow and unsophisticated, and this tournament was little more than a formality before they claimed victory. The Martians were known for their arrogance, and they made no attempt to hide it. They believed they had already won before the tournament even began. With the date of the tournament set, Earth's team trained harder than ever before. There were sparring sessions, strategy meetings, and physical conditioning programs that pushed the fighters to their limits. Aaron, however, trained in solitude. He was often seen alone, shadowboxing, practicing his clinch work, and meditating. He wasn't concerned with the showmanship or the hype that surrounded the event. To him, this was just another fight, an important one, to be sure, but a fight nonetheless. His mind was clear, and he knew that in the chaos of combat, simplicity often prevailed. But even within Earth's team, there were whispers of doubt about Aaron's inclusion. Some of the younger, more modern fighters viewed Muay Thai as an old-fashioned form of combat, unsuited for an interplanetary tournament. They respected his discipline, but they didn't see how it could measure up to the raw physicality of the Martians. How could elbows and knees compete with beings that were faster and stronger than any human? As the day of the tournament approached, the tension between the two planets reached its peak. The Martians ramped up their propaganda, broadcasting more and more footage of their past victories, showing the brutality of their own tournaments. They delighted in mocking Earth's combat traditions, especially targeting the ancient martial arts. Among their jests, they singled out Muay Thai, calling it one of the most outdated and inefficient fighting styles. One particularly famous Martian warrior quipped in an interview, "Elbows and knees? Against us? They'll be lucky to land a single hit." It seemed that the world, both Earth and Mars, had already decided how this tournament would unfold. Earth's fighters were preparing for an uphill battle, but the odds, both statistically and in the minds of the spectators, were firmly against them. Only a few still believed that discipline, precision, and heart could outmatch raw power. The day of the tournament arrived, and the atmosphere was electric. The arena on Mars was massive, its architecture a blend of alien design and brutal functionality. Thousands of Martians filled the stands, eager to witness the spectacle. A high-tech force field surrounded the ring, meant to contain the raw power of the combatants. The air buzzed with excitement and confidence on the Martian side, while Earth's team entered with quiet determination. Earth's fighters, though among the best humanity had to offer, couldn't help but feel the weight of the challenge ahead. Each of them had trained relentlessly, but the physical differences between humans and Martians were undeniable. The Martians were bigger, stronger, and faster. Their physiology was optimized by the harsh environment of their home planet, giving them an inherent advantage. The humans knew they were up against not just superior strength, but also a completely different style of combat, one that none of them had ever faced before. The tournament began, and the first fight was a brutal lesson in the Martians' superiority. Earth's initial fighter, a mixed martial artist known for his explosive style, entered the ring brimming with confidence. He was agile, experienced, and deadly in human terms. But against the Martian warrior, his skills seemed almost useless. The Martian fought with a combination of speed, power, and technique that was unlike anything the human fighter had encountered. The Martian moved with fluid precision, striking with lethal intent. His attacks were sharp and efficient, and within minutes, Earth's champion was on the ground, defeated and unconscious. The Martian didn't even seem winded. The crowd erupted into cheers, the energy in the arena growing with each Martian victory. The defeat was a blow to Earth's morale, and it set the tone for what was to come. As the tournament continued, the Martians systematically dismantled Earth's team. Every fighter, no matter how skilled or highly trained, found themselves overwhelmed by the Martian combatants. Earth's boxers were outmaneuvered, their punches too slow to land cleanly. The wrestlers found themselves overpowered in the clinch, unable to grapple effectively against the superior strength of the Martians. Even the mixed martial artists, known for their versatility, were no match for the alien warriors' brutal and unfamiliar techniques. With each loss, the Martians grew bolder in their mockery. They sneered at Earth's efforts, finding the humans' attempts to fight laughable. In between matches, they broadcast replays of Earth's fighters getting beaten, highlighting every mistake and exaggerating their dominance. The Martian commentators reveled in the defeats, gleefully pointing out what they saw as Earth's lack of true combat prowess. The Martians were especially ruthless when it came to their commentary on Earth's martial arts traditions. They mocked the very concept of hand-to-hand combat as practiced by humans. One commentator, a former champion himself, made a point of deriding Muay Thai in particular. "They rely on elbows and knees," he said, laughing. "Can you imagine? In a real fight, that would never work. They move so slowly, so predictably. Their techniques are ancient, and in this tournament, ancient means useless." The mockery was relentless, and the humans in the arena, both fighters and spectators, could feel the Martians' disdain. Every match seemed to further solidify the Martians' belief that Earth was inferior, not just technologically but physically and mentally. The Martians believed that humans lacked the will to truly fight, to embrace the brutality necessary to win. As more of Earth's fighters fell, the situation began to feel hopeless. The team members who hadn't fought yet watched the matches with growing dread. They had trained for months, had given everything they had, but it was becoming clear that they might not stand a chance. Each defeat chipped away at their confidence. They had seen their comrades fall, and it was becoming harder to believe that any of them could turn the tide. Among the remaining fighters was Aaron. He had been watching quietly from the sidelines, studying the Martians' movements and tactics. Unlike some of his teammates, he didn't seem overly concerned with the Martians' size or strength. His focus was elsewhere, on the patterns in their fighting, the way they moved, and the openings that appeared when they overcommit to their attacks. Aaron's demeanor was calm, his expression unreadable. He wasn't the loudest or most outspoken fighter on the team, but those who knew him understood that he wasn't to be underestimated. Despite the odds, he hadn't lost his composure. While the Martians' arrogance grew, Aaron remained centered, knowing that fights aren't won by power alone. The crowd's energy shifted with every Martian victory, the excitement in the air building to a fever pitch. To the Martians, this tournament had become more than just a contest, it was a confirmation of their superiority over Earth. They saw themselves as warriors of the highest order, and Earth's fighters as mere entertainers, struggling to survive in a game they had already lost. But beneath their confidence, there was also an undercurrent of overconfidence. The Martians believed that no human could stand up to them, and that belief had led them to underestimate their opponents. They had seen Earth's best fighters fall, and in their eyes, there was no reason to expect anything different from the remaining contenders. As the next fight was called, the Martians looked forward to another easy victory. They had no reason to expect otherwise. The pattern had been established: Earth's fighters would enter, fight valiantly but ultimately lose, and the Martians would continue to dominate. It was a routine they had come to enjoy, one that reinforced their belief in their invincibility. Aaron's name was called next. He stood, his movements deliberate and measured, and began making his way to the ring. The Martians, unaware of what was about to unfold, barely paid attention. To them, he was just another human, another fighter to be mocked and defeated. But Aaron wasn't like the others. He had studied the Martians, had learned their weaknesses, and he was about to show them that humanity had more to offer than they ever imagined. Aaron stepped into the ring with the same quiet determination he had shown throughout the tournament. His opponent, a Martian elite warrior, was one of the most feared combatants in the tournament, a fighter with a reputation for ending matches in mere seconds. The crowd, fueled by previous Martian victories, was already anticipating another swift and brutal win. The Martian, standing taller and more muscular than any human, sneered at Aaron. To him, this was just another chance to humiliate an Earth fighter, especially one practicing a fighting style as outdated as Muay Thai. The fight began with the Martian charging forward, relying on his superior speed and strength. Aaron, however, didn't flinch. He sidestepped the attack with minimal movement, maintaining a calm focus. The Martian followed up with a series of rapid, heavy strikes, each one carrying enough force to end the fight if it connected, but Aaron's footwork and positioning were impeccable. He moved just enough to avoid the blows, staying inside the Martian's range without ever being fully caught. To the crowd, it seemed like Aaron was playing defensively, simply trying to survive the onslaught. But those with a trained eye could see something different. Aaron wasn't just dodging. He was studying his opponent, reading every movement, every tell, and every pattern. While the Martian's attacks were fast, they were also overcommit. His confidence in his strength caused him to throw punches and kicks with unnecessary force, creating openings that he didn't even realize were there. The Martian's frustration began to show. He wasn't used to his opponents lasting this long, and certainly not with such minimal effort. In his mind, Aaron's refusal to engage aggressively was just a sign of fear. Fueled by arrogance, the Martian pressed harder, attacking with even more intensity. But Aaron stayed calm, waiting for the right moment. Then, in a sudden shift, Aaron made his move. The Martian launched a wide, overhand strike aimed at knocking Aaron out in a single blow. But instead of dodging, Aaron stepped forward, closing the distance between them in an instant. He ducked under the punch, catching the Martian off balance, and delivered a sharp, devastating elbow strike to the ribs. The force of the impact sent a shockwave through the Martian's body, and for the first time in the tournament, the Martian staggered. The crowd fell silent. No one had expected a human, especially one using Muay Thai, to land such a clean and powerful hit. The Martian stumbled back, visibly surprised by the effectiveness of the strike. His eyes widened in disbelief. This was supposed to be an easy fight, yet he had been hurt, actually hurt, by a technique he had dismissed as primitive. Aaron didn't give him time to recover. He pressed forward, using a combination of clinching and close-range strikes to keep the Martian off balance. His knees connected with precision, targeting the Martian's midsection and legs. Each strike was calculated, designed to sap the Martian's strength and wear him down. The Martian tried to respond, but Aaron was already inside his range, controlling the fight from the inside. The Martian's size and strength, which had been his greatest advantages, were now liabilities. In the clinch, Aaron's mastery of leverage and positioning made it impossible for the Martian to use his superior strength effectively. Every time the Martian tried to throw a punch or push Aaron away, he left himself open to another knee or elbow strike. It was a brutal, systematic dismantling of the Martian's offense. The Martian's frustration boiled over. He roared in anger, trying to break free from Aaron's control, but it was too late. His movements were growing slower, his attacks less precise. He had underestimated the human, and now he was paying the price. Aaron, on the other hand, remained composed, his expression never changing. He wasn't here for glory or pride, he was here to win, and he was doing exactly that. With each passing moment, the Martian grew more desperate. He threw wild, powerful strikes, hoping to land a knockout blow, but Aaron was always one step ahead. He blocked, dodged, and countered with precision. Every mistake the Martian made was punished with a devastating strike to the body or legs. The Martian's once imposing figure now looked sluggish, his movements erratic and unfocused. The turning point came when Aaron landed a perfectly timed leg kick, targeting the Martian's knee. The impact buckled the Martian's leg, sending him crashing to the ground. The crowd gasped. No one had ever seen a Martian fall like this. Aaron stepped back, allowing the Martian to struggle to his feet, but the damage was done. The Martian was limping, his once unshakable confidence shattered. The Martian warrior, now desperate, launched one final, reckless attack. He charged at Aaron with everything he had left, hoping to overwhelm the human with sheer force. But Aaron was ready. As the Martian closed the distance, Aaron delivered a crushing elbow strike to the Martian's head, followed by a knee to the midsection. The combination of blows sent the Martian crashing to the ground once more, this time not getting up. The silence in the arena was deafening. The Martian, who had entered the fight with such arrogance and confidence, now lay defeated on the ground. Aaron stood over him, breathing steadily, his expression unchanged. The fight was over, and the human had won. The Martian spectators, once so full of pride and mockery, were now stunned into silence. They had spent the entire tournament ridiculing Earth's combat skills, laughing at the idea that humans could ever compete with their warriors. But now, they were witnessing something they never expected, a human victory. And it wasn't just a lucky punch or a fluke. Aaron had systematically dismantled one of their best fighters using a style they had dismissed as outdated and irrelevant. Aaron turned and walked back to his corner, not celebrating or basking in the victory. To him, this was just another fight, another opponent who had underestimated the power of Muay Thai. He didn't need the crowd's approval or the Martian's respect. He had done what he came to do, prove that Earth's combat skills were not to be mocked. The Martian lay on the ground, motionless, his defeat echoing in the sudden silence of the arena. The audience, still stunned by what they had witnessed, struggled to process the sight before them. This was not supposed to happen. A human, one using a fighting style they had derided and mocked, had just taken down one of their finest warriors. It wasn't just the fact of the defeat that shocked them, but the way it had unfolded. Aaron had remained calm, methodical, and in complete control from start to finish. He had dismantled his opponent without ever needing to overpower him, using technique and precision in a way that none of the Martians had anticipated. The Martian officials, who had been watching with the same arrogance that pervaded the entire event, were now left speechless. They had expected Earth's fighters to be nothing more than a temporary challenge, a spectacle to entertain their people before another inevitable victory. But now they faced something they had never considered, a human who had shown them the limits of their own combat philosophy. Aaron stood at the center of the ring, his posture unchanged, his face calm. He made no gesture of triumph, no move to celebrate. He had no need to. The fight had spoken for itself. The silence in the arena stretched on as the Martians processed their loss. It was as if the entire planet was coming to terms with a new reality, a reality where humans, whom they had dismissed as inferior, had proven themselves to be equals. Slowly, the Martian crowd began to murmur, their voices growing in volume as they discussed what had just happened. The arrogance in their tone was gone, replaced by something more cautious, more respectful. The Martian commentators, who had spent the entire tournament mocking Earth's fighters, were now at a loss for words. They replayed the fight on the massive screens around the arena, breaking down Aaron's techniques, analyzing every movement, every strike, trying to understand how they had been so wrong in their assumptions. The fallen Martian warrior, still reeling from the defeat, was helped to his feet by his comrades. Despite his injuries, he stood tall, his pride bruised but his respect for Aaron clear. He approached the human, bowing his head in a gesture of acknowledgement. The crowd, seeing their champion offer respect to a human, followed suit. Slowly, they began to clap, first a hesitant, scattered applause, but soon it grew, spreading throughout the arena until the entire crowd was on its feet, applauding the human fighter. This was not the ending the Martians had expected, but they could not deny what they had seen. In Aaron, they saw a new kind of warrior, one who didn't rely on brute strength or speed, but on mastery of his craft. It was a form of combat they had not respected before, but now, in the wake of their defeat, they understood its value. The clapping grew louder, the applause turning into cheers. The Martians, for the first time, were celebrating the victory of a human, acknowledging the skill and discipline that had led to it. Earth's team, watching from the sidelines, was still in shock. They had come to Mars knowing the odds were against them, prepared for a difficult fight, but Aaron's victory had changed everything. The other fighters, who had once doubted whether Muay Thai could hold its own against the Martians, now looked at Aaron with newfound respect. His quiet confidence, his unassuming presence, these had been his strengths all along, and they had underestimated him just as the Martians had. As the applause continued, Martian leaders began to discuss the implications of the fight. This tournament had been intended to display their superiority, to show that Martian warriors were the best in the galaxy. But Aaron's victory had shattered that illusion. It was clear that Earth's fighters, though different in style and approach, were not to be underestimated. This realization shifted the dynamic between the two planets. What had started as a contest of dominance was now turning into a relationship built on mutual respect. Aaron, still standing in the center of the ring, offered a brief nod to the Martian warrior before turning to leave. He had no interest in basking in the adulation of the crowd. For him, the fight was over, and that was enough. He had proven that Earth's combat traditions were not obsolete, that they could stand up to even the most advanced alien civilizations. That was all he had come to do. As he walked back to his team, the applause still ringing in his ears, Aaron reflected on the journey that had brought him here. Muay Thai, a fighting style that had been passed down through generations, had been his weapon in this fight. It wasn't about strength, speed, or even technique alone. It was about balance, control, and the ability to adapt in the heat of combat. The Martians, for all their physical advantages, had missed that key aspect of fighting. They had relied too heavily on their superior strength and speed, and in doing so, they had left themselves vulnerable. Earth's leaders, watching from the sidelines, understood that this victory was more than just a personal achievement for Aaron. It was a turning point in the relationship between Earth and Mars. The tournament had begun with arrogance and condescension, but it had ended in mutual respect. The Martians had learned that humans were not as weak or primitive as they had believed. And in turn, Earth had gained a valuable lesson about its own strengths. The traditions and fighting styles that had been honed over centuries still had a place in a galaxy filled with advanced civilizations. As the tournament came to a close, the Martian leaders approached Earth's delegation, offering words of respect and congratulations. They acknowledged that their warriors had underestimated the humans and that this defeat had been a lesson in humility. What had begun as a contest of superiority had ended in a bond of respect, with both sides recognizing the strengths and weaknesses of the other. For Aaron, the victory was a quiet one. He didn't need the praise or the applause. His only goal had been to fight as he had always been taught, with precision, patience, and control. In the end, that had been enough. The Martians, with all their advanced techniques and physical advantages, had been defeated not by brute force, but by the mastery of a fighting style that had been honed over centuries. As he left the arena, the weight of the moment settled in. He had represented Earth, had carried the legacy of Muay Thai into a fight against an alien civilization, and had emerged victorious. But for Aaron, the victory was more than just a personal achievement. It was a reminder that even in a universe filled with advanced technology and alien species, the core principles of combat, focus, discipline, and mastery, remained universal. And now, both Earth and Mars understood that better than ever.